Hi, I'm Abe Schoerner, class of 1982, and also a tutor at the college from 1989 to 1998, and I'm the owner and winemaker of the Schoerner project. Well, Newton clearly has to do with everything. There's no way that the Principia couldn't help teach you about winemaking. But you are asking me this question because on the front label of almost all of my bottles of wine is the diagram from Proposition 1 of the Principia. And it's there not because Newton taught me anything specific about winemaking or even because Newton is the most important author in my life. It's there more than any reason because the man who taught me how to make wine in Napa, his name is John Kongsgaard. His son Alex was a homeschooled high school student when I met John. And John cut me a deal that he would teach me about winemaking if I became part of the faculty of Alex's homeschooling. And the culmination of the work that Alex and I did together, we spent a year doing this. So when Alex was in his senior year of high school and 15 or 16 years old, we spent a year studying the Principia, and the culmination of our study was the demonstration of Proposition 1, and that's why it's on the label. It's a really good question, and I think if I understand my own work well enough, it's not so much that the decision making is in any way informed by the program, but the fact that I'm making wine is really only possible because of what was inculcated in me as a student at St. John's, and then what really became deepened in my experience as a tutor. And the main thing is that we are intellectually capable of having serious relationships with things that seem way above us. And winemaking seemed that way to me when I came to Napa in 1998 as a tutor on sabbatical. But I had the courage and also something like the equipment to teach myself about winemaking in the same way that 10 years before I taught myself about Newton. Well, there's no question. I mean, almost everybody who I work with started in the same way, and that is you start as an intern in a winery that's working well. You can even learn in a winery that isn't working well, but much better to be in a good winery, and in a winery not just that's making good wine, but that has good habits, good practices, so that you have some opportunity to pick those up. And the reason why I'm putting an emphasis on that is you come in without book learning and you just submerge yourself in the world of the winery. The submersion could some degree be harmful if it really weren't a good winery. But there's no question, you start on the ground as a worker cleaning things. I think those are really two different questions. It's one thing to say what my favorite part is, and it's another thing to say what represents why it's moving to me. My favorite part might be stomping on grapes, which might seem comical and obvious, but it's really wonderful. And it's wonderful to know that the wine that you drink 2 years down the road, or 10 or 15 or 20 years down the road, had its origin with you being in physical contact with the grapes. This doesn't really count as winemaking, it counts as farming, but it's integral to my winemaking and probably integral to the winemaking of most of the people on the panel today. But there's no question in my mind that my absolute favorite activity, and the one that is central, most challenging, and most rewarding, is pruning a vine.